What is up, guys? How's it going? I have with me Glutonny and Tweek. I've been trying to get these guys together for I think it's been like a year now. And they're basically going to just talk about Wario, debate Wario. I feel like, obviously they both played Wario at a really, really high level, but I would say Gluto has a much higher opinion, or I don't know about much anymore, but he has a higher opinion of Wario than Tweek, and Tweek's opinion is definitely on the lower end. And so we're gonna have these two talk about their opinions of Wario, why they think the way they do about the character, and yeah. So who wants to go first? Who wants to give their opinion on Wario first, or the opening statement?
You decide, Larry.
You decide? All right, I'm gonna go with Tweek then. Tweek, why do you feel the way you do about Wario?
Well, here's the first reason why I stopped playing Wario as my main character. And it's just the inconsistency of the character, objectively. Neutral air not fully connecting is one of the biggest. It would frustrate me to the point where I would just not be able to play the game anymore. And the other thing is a lot of Wario's valuable hits are so specific, and there's so much counterplay to Wario's most valuable traits. For example, his best hits are usually from a specific jumping height or falling down onto your opponent. And I feel if you disengage from Wario's pacing, as most characters, the counterplay is pretty straightforward. And there's layers to the counterplay where it's not like Wario can see counterplay and then say, oh, I have counterplay of my own, because he doesn't have any. Sorry if that was short, but...
No, I mean, that's good. So I guess just to kind of summarize, you feel like Wario is inconsistent because of the amount of precision you need to have with the character, and then on top of that you feel
not precision, his neutral air doesn't connect into the second hit on a lot of characters. Okay,
so just the inconsistency of his hitboxes. Yeah. And then you also think that there's counterplay to the character that he doesn't have answers to.
Yes.
Okay, Gluto, so why do you think Wario is as good as you think he is?
How can I explain? He has so much tools in every matchup, every situation. If you think well and you know this situation by heart and you know exactly what you should do in every situation, he can do a lot of stuff. Even if at the beginning the matchup can look horrible, the more you work, the more there is solutions that are coming. And that's what I love about Wario, and I never found that about any other characters. The typical top tiers are you find their good situation, their strength, you abuse of it, and then you find their bad situation and you try to avoid them, right? Wario seems to have so much bad situation at the beginning, but your goal in the matchup is to just feel understand the situation and try to fill out the gaps and try find a solution. And I feel there is always new solution to find, and at the end he will be able to make the matchup almost even, and this is enough for me. Wario doesn't win matchups. The only matchups he wins is Bowser. No relevant matchup. He doesn't win matchups, but if he doesn't lose and he can play, that's enough. Because when he can play, he can just do so much things in so much situation. And every time I play, the more I play, the better I will be in the matchup. And I feel it can't even stop. I feel it's almost infinite. And that's why I think Wario is very good, and definitely not as other top tiers. Not just, okay, in this situation you use this move because it's broken, that's it. No, Wario need to know exactly the situation, exactly what opponent should do. You have to force him to do it, of course. You have to know when, know how to punish it, know how to position yourself, know when you can't do anything. Sometimes you can't do anything, but that's fine if it's not too much. Not every time. And for example, there's so many matchups that I thought it was impossible at the beginning, and then the more I play them, the more I was oh, okay, finally I can do something. But you need to know everything, literally everything. Nothing can be left with random stuff. You have to understand everything, and I love that, because if I win, trust me, that means I'm better than you. That's it. At least I played this game better than you, and that's why I love him. Like I can't have situation when I'm like, okay, I just did Wario stuff and I won. Other top tiers can do that like a lot. Wario can't even do that against Zelda or against Jigglypuff. No, he can't. Even against the worst characters, I swear. At the beginning, I thought Wario Ganon was even because it was so hard to approach. And when he touched me, he destroyed me. This is in every matchups, every. So imagine the matchup is hard and the character is very good. Imagine how hard it is to win. Specifically now that Waft got nerfed, up tilt was the only top tier things that Wario had. Literally. Like, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna up tilt. It's very good, and it can kill you at 60 because I have Waft after, but it's not there anymore. So it's just way harder. Also, the broken stuff are not even easy, and even the best Warios will miss it a lot. Like, for example, jab Waft. Like, it's so hard to do. Jab F smash. Why can't I buffer jab F smash? Why do I have to do a perfect frame with that much buffer in the game? It's so hard. Jab Waft is hard too, and there's a lot of characters where the Waft is so hard to have true combos and stuff like that. Yeah, so many different matchups where it was so hard, and now, for example, Jigglypuff, I thought it was very bad for Wario, but now that I know exactly what to do in every situation, it's way better. There is some players where they were beating me, and then when I knew exactly what to do, I could triple three stock them after knowing exactly what to do all the time. But then you have to know so much things. But that's why I think he's still top tier, if you want to say top tier. But I really don't like talking about tiers, to be honest. I just do it for content, you know. But tiers are so hard to explain. Like, he doesn't match the other specific things that are the top tier have. But he has so much tools. For example, the way I play with bike now is so different, and it makes it way easier in some matchups. But I recently found again a new way to play around bike and stuff like that. It's infinite. He has so much tools to exploit, and as I said, if you win with him, that's mean you just played very, very well in every situation, I guess. Specifically against good people, of course. So yeah, that's why I love him so much, and I think he's top tier.
Okay, I appreciate what you said about content. Saying it's top tier for content, nice. Okay, so at first when you were talking, I'm like, dude, does he think he's good? Like, the way you were explaining him, like, he thinks he sucks. Like, what is this? But no, it makes sense. So what you're saying is, initially, if you were to first pick up Wario, you're probably just gonna be like, wow, this character's horrible. But it's because he has so many things you need to know, but once you know them, then you're just like, wow, this character is a lot better than people think. He does have answers in situations that it seems like he doesn't. It's just that you have to know them, and it just requires a lot of time and effort and just knowing exactly what to do in every given spot.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the bad part that Tweek was talking about is true. The not connecting stuff is so annoying. Very, very, very annoying. Not connecting there and dying for it, so you win neutral and you lose your stock for it, is bullshit. Like, big bullshit. But I think I got better at it, and I tried to find a way to play around it. And a good thing is that even if it's not connecting, you can play in a way where you don't get reversed and you just play another situation that you can win after. If you were getting hit true punish all the time, it would be like horrible. But you can kind of make it a way where you don't get punish, true punish at least, on the not connecting stuff. But it's still very hard, and sometimes the problem is even if you're sure, 100% sure it's gonna connect, sometimes it doesn't. So this is the worst part. If it was connecting from 0 to 10 and not connecting anymore at all from 10 to like 50, it would be fine. Like, it's not gonna connect, just play around it and stuff. The only real problem is even when you're sure it's gonna connect, sometimes it doesn't. So this is the worst part about Wario, for sure. Down tilt dash attack and they're not connecting so bad. But if you know it's not gonna connect, for example, down tilt dash attack, you're okay. He's gonna shield, so I'm gonna grab. He's gonna spot dodge, so I'm gonna upper wave and stuff like that. So there is still some stuff. But Nair, when you're sure and it still doesn't connect, it's bad. And the thing he said, I just don't understand. Counterplay to specific hits. You said that sometimes if your opponent know what to do against Wario, he can't do anything or something like that.
Yeah, first off, I love the way Gluto talks about Wario. You can see like the passion and like the effort Wario takes, and I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate that or even understand that. And I feel like his response to Wario struggles, like you can go two ways, right? You can go the way I went, where it's like, all right, this is trash, or you can go the way Gluto went, where it's like, you know, making it work, right? And what I mean by that is, in a lot of situations, like let's put the worst possible scenario out there, right? Nair isn't working. Your opponent is very mobile, like dashing back a lot or jumping away a lot. Wario starts to become a stray hit character, and a lot of his damage output is just lower than other characters. So like, I feel like even with an optimistic standpoint, like tier list wise, he's going to be lower than a lot of characters if you consider some of these matchups where it gets that rough. And I think especially early on in Ultimate, a lot of people would, because one of the classic sayings in Smash Ultimate early on was like, oh, when Wario's on the screen, it's a two-stock game, right?
Oh my god.
And it was a very big misunderstanding, right? If an opponent, like let's say I'm Wario and I jump at my opponent. If my opponent stays in shield, Wario is ridiculous, right? I have a command grab in the air. A lot of my moves are safe on shield, and if they hit at the right timing, he gets big damage or he kills you. So I think the less rigid you are and the more mobile you are versus Wario makes him very, very tough and makes him not as great as a lot of the other characters. But what you start to say about Bike is really important, because it's not like there is a way to Wario to just force it and like even against opponents that are good versus Wario, like get those hits anyway, because it's not going to work. You're just going to get swatted out of the air over and over. So what Gluto is saying about Bike is very important. Like, you're not ramming your head into the wall. You are getting creative with Bike, using it as stage control, using it as a shield, using it as pressure. There's different directions you can throw it in, but it still kind of connects into the idea of you are sacrificing so much just to make it work, like Gluto said. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I think like Gluto's one of the best players in the world. And even myself, I would stick it out with Wario in a lot of situations that were tough. Like even the Zelda example is so funny because I know exactly what Gluto is talking about. I have played against top Zeldas with Wario in bracket, and it is terrifying how hard you have to work versus a character that isn't considered nearly as good as Wario. But yeah, I think Bike is probably one of the most important things to make Wario as viable as other characters, and there's a lot of potential in Bike. And the jab locks are, as hard as they are, I'm very grateful that he has that as an option, because nerfing Waft's frame data made it really difficult, especially in the, like, all the matchups that were hard are now even harder, and most of them were hard. But yeah.
Okay, I have a question actually, because even before Wario got nerfed, Tweek, you didn't really think he was worth maining, right? Or I guess like after a certain point. I guess, do you want to try to explain why that is? Because the big thing he had was up tilt, right? Like up tilt was like one of his huge options that he had. That was like, I mean, even Gluto said that was like his top tier option. Yeah,
the nerfs were tough. It kind of just made the tough things tougher, rather than like, it didn't like take away necessarily a strength of Wario when it comes to the opponent fighting him. Because if you consider Wario's ground speed, it's rather slow. So it's not like up tilt being that active was a ridiculous like the floor is lava situation, because most characters can simply disengage. Like, avoiding up tilt is fairly easy from like a juggling standpoint. The same can be said for Waft itself, right? Nair not connecting often, or if you consider Wario's ground speed, or if you consider the fact that a lot of Wario's valuable hits come from him jumping and falling. That means if an opponent paces themselves correctly or disengages correctly versus Wario, I hate to say something is like right or wrong in Smash, but that means Waft is going to be on the table very little, you know, if you consider someone playing very well. So in my eyes, pre-patch Wario and post-patch Wario, these flaws like are they're the same, right?
Yes.
It's about the source rather than like the moves themselves. It just made
No.
the hard stuff harder rather than like making him worse in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you're
and
saying.
also the Nair not connecting is the same, and this was
Yeah.
a big part of.
I'd rather Nair
You-
connect and keep the nerfs.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're basically saying they just nerfed his strengths. They didn't really give him any flaws or change his flaws. Okay, so someone's actually asking, what is your opinion on camping? Because I would assume that's like one of the reasons why Tweek probably thinks Wario is not as good, because he could just get camped out really hard.
Do you want my response or?
Well, I guess it's Gluto's and then both in his, and you could chime in. I mean, you guys could just talk to each other, but I'm gonna give myself now.
I think in this part I get carried by my reaction because I'm faster than I'm faster and I think faster than my opponent. So even if he camps me, I will outspeed him by thinking faster. So I think I don't really care about people camping that much as Wario could care. So maybe that's why I'm good with the character. Maybe his flaws, I get carried by my reaction. I think so because I feel when I see other Wario plays, I feel they are really slow. And if they are slow like that, yeah, of course they're gonna get camped. Of course, because Wario is very slow on the ground, no range. I can imagine him getting very camped, but I'm fine with it. Of course, only against Sonic, because he just can. Sonic is not camping. Sonic is avoiding interaction, and that is even worse. What can I do if he avoid interaction all the game? There's no win-lose. There's nothing.
So before you continue, I like that example with Sonic is the easiest to explain to someone that doesn't play Wario, right? And it is also, out of any character, it is the easiest to counterplay Wario with Sonic. And I think what I'm suggesting is this gameplay is possible with a lot of characters, not just Sonic. It's not as simple to execute. And to be quite honest, I think Sonic is just that simple, period. And with Wario, it's just it shows it's so obvious, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I might have solution against that too. I found some stuff in the last set, so it was way closer than before. But if I can do 3-2 and it was almost, I could have 3-2-2. Like one game was very close and he just had it, but it could have been the opposite way. So it's not impossible. Or if it was impossible, I couldn't even do 3-2 unless I'm like 10 times better than him, but it's not the case. Yeah, I think it's possible. I can add some stuff again. And if I can not allow, like make Sonic not camp, that means nobody will be able to camp me.
I think like part of the question was also, how do you feel like Wario's strengths lie in his camping too, was part of the question. You know what I mean? Like rather than getting camped, I think people are asking as like, Wario camping, like how strong is that to counteract all the weaknesses we were talking about?
Yeah, I 100% read the question wrong.
When Wario camps,
we talked about getting camped because obviously that happens.
Yeah, it's very obvious, but yeah, like Wario camping though, like how, like I guess you said it's easier said than done, and I guess someone wanted you to elaborate on it.
Okay, so it's way harder than what you can think. Of course, some matchup is fine because they are really slow and stuff like that. But most of the matchup, if you want to camp, that's very hard because you will put yourself in a really bad situation just to camp, where you can't really have that much reward by doing it, since even if you do camp, the only reward of camping is having waft, and the waft you will not hit it all the time, that means you just put risk without any reward. So that's why it's not that easy to camp, and sometimes even not that good to do it. But I don't think camping is even optimal, but the optimal thing is to be patient, because camping is you go to the other way of the stage and you try to not get hit, and be patient is trying to force your opponent to do a mistake in front of you and punish him, because if you camp, he can do mistake in front of you, you're gonna be too far to punish it. But if you are patient, then you're not too far and not too close, and then you can punish him. But this part is very, very hard. You need to know exactly where to position, what you can punish, what you are gonna force, which move you are gonna force, which one you're gonna force and punish, which one you're gonna force but not punish. Sometimes he will hit you, you can feel that it's a mistake, but you have to say, okay, no, it's not a mistake, I'm not gonna punish this one, I'll try to wait for another one and stuff like that.
I like talking about this because you have to decide what risk you're willing to take, right? Because if you play one way, like let's say you play aggressively or something, right? There are certain risks you are taking, right? Like air not connecting, down tilt dash attack not connecting, getting dash back punished, or like, you know, because Wario doesn't have a lot of range, like just getting outranged or whiff punished. And if you're camping, you know, the weaknesses and the risks lie in a lot of what Gluto said. And the other thing is, if you go the full-on camping route, it starts to have a hard time if you start to think about Wario's nerfs, right? Like waft being slower, and you might have full waft more than the other wafts if you play very campy. And it's the hardest one to connect, so you will just have less options to work with. And I think obviously finding a balance, which is in Smash, that is obviously what you want between like aggression, defense, patience. And I think that's something that's difficult to accept with Wario in the first place, is no matter what route you take, there are certain things that are just, it's like an L that you have to take no matter what. As a player, like obviously I've been playing this game for a living for a long time, like Smash 4, Ultimate. I've played Wario in every Smash game, at least a decent amount. I'm very quick to see that, and I want to take my strengths elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make my opponent work hard through more means, and I want to be more flexible, etc. However you want to word it. And I actually feel like Gluto and I have always taken a different approach to Wario, which is really cool because Gluto is my favorite player regardless. But I usually took a more defensive route, and it's kind of like Gluto is saying, I'm taking these L's with Wario with my playstyle, and I'm taking certain L's with Wario with my playstyle. And it's just how we view the game. Like for me, I was talking about how frustrating like things not working when I'm getting a hit are. So for me, my answer to that was not doing it, being more defensive. And I am willing to take that route just more than the other route. But the interesting thing is gauging your risk reward regardless of which route you take. But for me, I always find I will always rely on my fundamentals or my neutral or my situational awareness, and I will get rid of that risk of getting hit, even if it means I'm not going to be getting valuable hits myself. And I will find a way to win regardless. You know what I mean? Like having faith in just my Smash skills rather than it being Wario specific, right?
Yeah, so it just sounds like your opinions of the characters also come from just how you approach the character.
Yeah. Like for me, like I feel like people like Larry has known me for a long time. I feel like people who really know me know, like, regardless of how hard I work at Smash or how serious I take it, like I'm a pretty big complainer. Like, like even if I win a game, or even if it's like, if it doesn't matter, like even if it means I took 5%, if I think it's stupid, like I'm gonna let the world know. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like I will work hard and like have a healthy mindset when I have to, but I'm a big complainer, and you know, I'll say a character sucks and then main them in the next tournament. You know what I mean? Like, because I still know the strengths, and I know my strengths, and I know, and if I enjoy it, I enjoy it. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you said, like it's a different view of the game, and you know, as much as I think Wario sucks, I've been playing him for the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, Gluto tells me to play him every time we talk to each other, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're like top 2 Wario for a reason. So I also want to. Sorry, I've been thinking about this ever since you said it, Glutonny. You dead said that like if someone camps you, you'll just be better. But you didn't even give a good reason. You just said, oh, I guess I'll be better.
Well, I feel like that is genuinely how he is as a player.
Yeah.
Like if we look at some of the sets he has won, like they'll ask him questions, or like he'll just be like, yeah, I'm just better. He has done that before.
No, I know, but
like remember when DeBuzz was like super salty after the Summit set, and he was like saying this or that? Gluto didn't say a word. He's just like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, sometimes I try to not overthink. Like,
yeah,
like just go, man, just play better. Like, watch again the set, you'll understand.
No, I appreciate
that.
That's
why I said I'm kind of carried in this part, because I didn't work that much for me to be fast. Like even when I was little, I just think faster. That's it. And in this specific part, I feel it helps a lot. In some others too, but in this specific part,
what I try to do not even just with Wario, but even with Diddy or something, I'm sure if anyone has watched a lot, they might be able to notice where it's about like flipping the switch, right? Because when I first started playing Smash, I didn't play a specific way. Like I played really fast and I just wanted to do cool combos or KOs or something because of YouTube videos I saw. And, you know, the more I played competitively, the more I would dial that back, right? And like learn things differently or play differently and more so play to win and like and then, you know, I gained the ability to flip the switch depending on what I think is more valuable, like, you know, randomly going from playing super slow to super fast. And I do that with Wario all the time. I do that with Diddy Kong all the time, and it just depends on how you gauge the scenario with your opponent, right? Like what will catch them off guard, and you know, and just collecting data based on how I feel like my opponent is playing. And sometimes it's character specific, sometimes I'm trying to figure out the human being behind the controller. And that's something that's interesting with Wario is how he flips that switch between offense and defense. And I definitely understand what Gluto is saying. Like, in some scenarios, you're so much stronger than your opponent that you can go against with what I was saying with, like, you know, just running into the wall, regardless of it being like not the smart choice. Sometimes I'll do that too, you know what I mean? Like I see you're dashing back or jumping or camping, but let's see if you can really deal with me just running into you, like, and playing super fast and creative. Like, how can you actually deal with that? And sometimes they can't, you know what I mean?
I understand it. It's just funny the way he worded it.
Yeah, I use simple words. It's English.
Yeah.
Even in French, I would say the same, to be honest.
Remember when everyone in Japan had a pocket Wario, but they all left after Wario?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They disappeared. Like, just cause Upchill left, they left with him.
Yeah.
I have specific thoughts on this, actually.
What is it?
A lot of, like, for Wario has been a character since Brawl. And a lot of these players that were specifically playing Wario had been playing Smash for a long time. And I think these players that had been playing Smash for a long time, Wario comes a bit naturally to them compared to someone who's newer. And I don't think it was like, I think people are a bit too specific about it. I think they were playing it because Wario is kind of a fundamental character if you were like a Brawl player. And he can come naturally to those players. Maybe they're not as good as someone like Gluto, but it can work when they want it to. And I think for a lot of these Japanese players, like, they had already had experience, and it's not like they were just doing it to exploit something specifically. But yeah, it isn't as easy if the character gets nerfed, but I think people were overcomplicating it. It wasn't like just like, oh, this character is so broken and they're picking it. I think there's more to it. Like, these players that have been around for a while. It's not like Aquila or Spargo going to Evo and picking Wario because they're younger and newer. They don't have, like, you know, maybe they probably could play Wario for all I know, but you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get you. I think what it comes down to too is high pressure situations being good for Wario in those spots, because you do have the simplicity of up tilt waft pre-patch.
Yeah.
I think it just came down to just having that simple confirm. Again, I think high pressure situations, he was good for those players. After that, it became a lot more precise. So they're like, oh, well, screw this. I'm gonna go to do something easier.
I think something that's really nice about playing Wario in general, even post nerf, is it's a combination of having waft, especially up tilt waft back then, and the weight, right? So it's having waft as a trump card while knowing you have the weight to have an opportunity to use it, right? And along with the recovery, the weight, the airspeed. And sometimes I relied on those more than waft itself. Like, I'm going to be on the screen for longer than a lot of characters, so there's no way I won't figure something out because I'm so heavy and, like, I have so much mobility. Like I said, like, for me, like, sometimes playing Wario isn't about playing Wario, it's about me playing Smash as myself and making the most of that. And so a lot of the time with defensive Wario, that's how it is. But yeah, pre-patch, there's a lot of sets where I won because of up tilt waft. Like, I'm about to lose and I just get an up tilt waft. And nowadays, like, if those sets were played nowadays, I would have just lost. So it just means I would have to work harder and put way more time into Wario, because despite having so much experience with him, I still feel like my Wario sucks when I play him for the last couple weeks. And that says a lot, because usually for me, not to sound arrogant, if I play a character, especially one I know, it will take me one session to be back to normal with them. But despite all the experience I have with Wario, it's going to take a long time if I want to take him seriously again. And I have to take that seriously. I can't just pick him and win. Like, I have to be ready. Where for a lot of characters, even versus some of the best, I could pick a lot of characters and just win.
Yeah, that's one very important part with Wario. Like, you need to work a lot. You need to understand everything. You need to know exactly what you're doing. But the satisfaction of winning with him is so good. Like, you know that if you win, it's because of you, because you played well, because you understand well the matchup, the situation. And the thing that you were saying, that the game is gonna be slow, makes it easier for you to like think more about the game, as for example a chess game. Like, where you should position yourself, that you put him in this situation, and now you can play your specific card here and now, because it's the best moment to do it. So yeah, you can think a lot, and thinking works so much more with Wario than other top tiers. You don't need to think in a lot of situations with, for example, Aegis. You just do Nair, because it's the best thing to do here. It's obvious.
Well, that's the thing. With Wario, you can't show them your card and they have to do something about it or they lose, right? With Wario, he can't show his card until the situation is right. With a character like Aegis, they're so fast and oppressive that they get to be like, all right, you need to do something right now simply because I'm Aegis. And that's tough when you're playing in a tournament, right? Like, relying on something so vague and ambiguous as picking Wario in a tournament setting. Like, that's very difficult.
Yeah, the other top tiers, they are good by just existing.
Yes.
Just doing this move will be strong with them. Wario can't do that.
Yeah.
He is good only if you're good with him.
I like playing Diddy because I have banana in my hand and all of a sudden my opponent is freaking out and I get to just react or like figure out what is the best thing to do. And I get so much of that information that would be so much harder to gain from playing Wario.
Wait, okay, Gluto, I have a question actually. If Wario wasn't in the game, who would you main?
I like so much characters, to be honest. I like Peach. I think Peach is the best. I thought Peach was the best before DLC. Then there was DLC, so I don't know what she does about them. But she might be one of the best for sure. But she needs too much inputs. Like, it's so hard also. She's very hard also. I think she's one of the hardest, like, so hard that the hands will hurt. Like, no Peach players that are good and that play her a lot don't have hand problems. It's not possible. So yeah, this was one of the problems. But I like Joker, I like Mart and Lucina, I like them a lot. I like Wolf. Yeah, there's so much characters that I could play, but I would play a good character, of course. But I really like the fact that with Wario, you need to work so much and think about the game a lot. And I need a character like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Joker and Peach would be the best for me.
Interesting.
I like that answer.
Yeah, no, I like it too.
Wario and Wolf is a common
yeah, it works well.
The airspeed, yeah.
Mobility, yeah.
Kind of heavy, like you kind of get to like keep your presence on the stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm definitely a huge fan of your Wolf, Gluto. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, he's a good character. Like, if Wario wasn't there, I would play him more for sure. But like, I love the way he moves. He can move so much. He move around you. He needs to like condition a lot of stuff, because of course
you
if
would
you
still
don't,
be thinking a lot.
Yeah, you still have to think a lot. Not the same way as Wario, but you still do. Because of course, if they shield all the time, you will never kill them. So you have to make them do something else than shield, punish them for it, stuff like that. So I think he's really interesting.
DK.
DK.
Yeah, DK not. DK is so much fun. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
DK's
it.
great.
Just too fun. Too much fun and too much reward on having a good advantage. So that's why he's so good. Killing people at any percent, anytime, it's very good.
All right, I feel like we should wrap it up. I feel like I just think that you guys have a similar idea of Wario. It's just that
it just branches out a little.
Yeah, it just branches out differently. Yeah.
Maybe very differently, actually.
Yeah, we just took a different road.
I feel like we still talk to each other and like everything we say, we always agree on, and then it just branches out into like we give each other different advice.
Yeah.
Something that made me, it's probably some of the best I felt about someone else talking about me is when Gluto said that him and I understand Wario the most, and like kind of like talking about Wario, like just a lot of the time it isn't worth it with just like random people because it's just so hard to understand. And that's a struggle I've always had too. especially because if we go back to like, oh, Wario just waffed 2-stock game, it's like I don't even want to talk to you. Like you have no idea like what I'm going through. You know what I mean? And I do have my favorite Gluto story that I want to tell. We were at the first Ludwig event, and I told him, hey, when I'm playing Wario, Biker Wario is for being aggressive, and overall Wario is for being campy. And he was like, yes, I know. And like we didn't even like establish that was a thing, but we both had that mindset already. And it was like the best thing ever. I was like, yeah, like you're a true Wario player if we have that mindset.
I don't know how we made this conclusion, but we made the same conclusion, so it should be true.
Or like my entire life, that's how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Wow.
I had it only in Ultimate, but now I see the light.
Yeah, because we use like different colors all the time, so.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, it's a secret. Yeah.
And it's funny because we didn't talk that much about the character, to be honest.
We still don't talk like a lot, just like at tournaments. Yeah.
And the small things we said was helping me a lot. Sometimes he just say one sentence, like 5 words, and I'm like, oh, it's true. I should do that more. I understand now. Like very small sentence. And of course, since we took 2 different roads, sometimes in some matchups, I just watch his Wario against the matchup from 2 years ago. Like two years ago. It's so long, but it still worked because the way he was playing was what I was missing a lot. But now I worked on this so much, and I'm kind of doing a fusion between his gameplay and mine. And the more I do it, the best I become. So it helps a lot. I would be way worse if he didn't play Wario.
I take a lot of pride in your reactions to my advice or watching you put it onto the screen, because even if I like complain about Wario or don't play him as much as I used to, a lot of my brain is still like Wario brain. Like a lot of my Smash gameplay, like even when I'm not playing him, I think of what Wario can do versus a certain situation or character just because I like him. So seeing, like, I fully trust you to be able to listen to what I say and actually apply it and maybe even do something different with it that's even like that I didn't even think of. And that's why I'm glad you are you took the route you did, because it's so optimistic, but it's also realistic, and you're just still working very hard regardless. I definitely like the conversations we have, even though sometimes they're just like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You ask me about your opponent and I say something and I see you play and you even just do something very small, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it makes me want to play again, because I can't help but like I have that like maybe I can do something too, you know what I mean?
Imagine we took the same road, we would have been blocked together. No answer. We're stuck.
Yeah, maybe being negative isn't a bad thing after all. I played some matchups just differently, you know what I mean? Because I was so pissed at the game that I was like, I'm gonna make your life miserable too.
I will think about it. That's good to know. I will do this against Kazuya, thanks.
Yeah, that's definitely the Little Mac mindset. You just want to ruin someone's day.
No one's having fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it just shows that you guys can have a similar idea of a character, but the differing values can just have such an altering effect, which is really, really cool. Yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. I definitely enjoyed listening.
It was fun.
Sure.
Thank you.
It was very fun.